Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out I Don't Work Here Lady. Story 1. I'm a brown guy shopping in a garden center. And sometimes, it isn't a fun experience. I've been a minority all my life. I know how it is in public places. I am always well groomed, well dressed, just a tad overdressed. As was the case this day over the weekend. So here I am hunting for some plants only this past week because I was down with COVID in the prior weeks. Lots are picked over and shelves are disorganized, so I have to look at the labels for each pot to see if that's the plant I want. I am cruising the aisles of the garden center, reading glasses up, eyeballs deep into the greens when some middle-aged man starts chirping, excuse me. I ignored him thinking that'll send him a message. After the 5th or 6th time he goes away. I moved down the aisle, continuing my hunt for plants. He's back chirping again, excuse me, I'm looking for. So I straightened up and looked at him. Why do you think I work here? Am I wearing an employee tag? He was stunned. He didn't reply. So in case the gentleman, who's probably in his late 50s or early 60s, was hard of hearing, I repeated it. What made you assume I work here? He then looks at the plants I'm holding. Because you're holding plants? So I retorted indignantly, oh, so customers don't hold plants? It's only then he said I'm sorry. I shook my head and gave him a look. Folks, don't assume because you see a brown guy in a garden center he works there. Story 2. Start a fire. As a crew boss on a wildland firefighting crew, I was standing in the lobby of a hotel, on a cool fall morning before going to do a prescribed burn, in front of the lobby fireplace while my guys were in the free continental breakfast doing what firefighters do to free food. Also in the lobby are half-dozen corporate types, nice shoes, smells like money, all are waiting for their CEO to come down from his room. I learn from listening they are here to pitch a new hospital. The boss walks in and all eyes turn to him. Morning boss. He stands next to me. Like me, he has his back to the fireplace, and after a quick check to make sure they are all set, turns to me and says, "We're ready, get our bags." Okay, so I'm in Nomex fire gear with my agency logo on my shirt, and damn if the coffee hadn't kicked in yet, because instead of "ya saw Emma tote yo bags" or "oh sorry, I only drive, I got a bad back, you'll have to schlep your own shit," or demanding my tip in advance, all I could muster was, "I start fires for a living. I'm not your driver, if you need something ignited let me know." Story 3. That's my hoodie, not a dog leash. So, this just happened. I, 38F, have worked different retail and customer service jobs most of my life, and I've dealt with my share of entitled customers at work. I've even been mistaken as an employee at a bunch of stores, but this was my first confrontational experience as a customer. My daughter and I were at Wally World getting dog food and a couple last-minute ingredients for dinner. I'm loading a large bag of dog food while trying to keep a toddler entertained when it happened. An entitled Karen appeared. Obnoxiously pink outfit. Fake gaudy jewelry. Badly dyed hair. And nails long enough to make a tiger jealous. I didn't even know she was there until I felt a sharp jab in the shoulder with those nails. I turned around to an expression that could curdle milk. I say yes. Load 4 bags of dog food in my cart. She demanded, pointing at the 40-pounds bag I just loaded into my cart. No please, no polite would/could you, just a terse order, like she was talking to someone so beneath her that she couldn't be bothered saying anything else. I wasn't even slightly resembling a worker since I was wearing jeans, sneakers, and a black hoodie from a local haunted house. Not to mention my daughter in the cart next to me. Still, I wasn't in a rush and my daughter wasn't being fussy. If Karen had asked nicely, I would have gladly helped. I've done that a bunch of times before and have always been glad to help, so long as I got a please and thank you from the person I'm helping. Instead, I just said I don't work here, I'm shopping. I was hoping that being direct and staying close to my daughter would show that I was busy. But, no. Her lip curled even harder and sounded insulted when she said, "So you're not going to help me?" I just said no, I need to finish my shopping. Not wanting to risk getting caught up in one of the many I don't work here lady stories that I read, I grabbed my cart with my daughter, and started walking away. I just wanted to get us away from that situation ASAP. That was my mistake. Never turn your back on a rabid animal. I barely registered Karen's indignant huff before she grabbed me by the hood of my sweater and yanked. This freaked me out from suddenly being choked. I'm someone that's been trained in self-defense, martial arts, and was raised around a bunch of bikers. If maternal instincts weren't telling me to get my daughter out of danger, I probably would have done a lot more damage to the woman than I did. I swung my arm back as hard as I could to force her to let go. I made contact with something hard enough that she let go with a yelp, and I hightailed it to the front of the store to report what happened. The employees, manager, and security were on their game and immediately went looking for Karen as soon as I told them what happened and gave a description. Unfortunately, Karen was gone by the time they went looking for her. The manager still contacted police and a report was filed. I definitely wanted to press charges if I could. According to security, after I hit the woman's bracelet-covered wrist with my closed fist and ran off, she looked really upset and insulted, but then got an OHT look. She started looking around until she looked directly at a camera. Karen then grabbed her purse and sprinted out of the store, leaving her cart and groceries behind. Guess she wasn't a complete idiot after all and realized how badly she messed up. The manager promised to keep an eye out for her. The police said they would contact me if needed. My hand got bruised from how hard I hit her and she left a line on my neck from trying to choke me. My daughter had no idea that anything bad happened. She was giggling when I was running her and the cart to the front. The next day, I got a call from the officer I talked to. Either Karen grew a conscience or someone forced her to turn herself in. She showed up at the police station the next day, looking like a scolded puppy when she got there. Officer's description. Officer asked if I still wanted to press charges and said she'd likely get probation or community service. I told him that I did still want to. Part of me wonders, did she actually feel bad? Did her husband/wife or whatever ask her why she didn't have the dog food and force her to confess? Or did she come in so she wouldn't be arrested and get a lighter sentence? I don't know. I'm just surprised that she did. Story 4. Wrong color. I used to work at a hardware store known for red shirts. One day, I went across the street to get some lunch at a grocery store known for blue shirts. While I was waiting to pay for my food, a woman came up to me. Woman, excuse me. Where are some food item? I don't recall. Me, I don't know. Woman, well, aren't you going to find out? Me, no, I don't work here. As I said before, my uniform was red, and everyone who worked there was in blue. Honestly, I was so confused by her mistake, I couldn't really think of anything clever to say. Woman, of course you do. Now go find me food item. Me, leave me alone. I really don't work here. Woman, I'm going to report you to your manager. Me, by all means. His name is Ken, you can find him across the street, and he'll probably find this way funnier than I do. I think that's when things finally clicked for her, because she just stopped arguing and went away. Story 5. Reverse I don't work here. Back in the mid to late 90s. I was 16, had my first job in the IKEA that had just opened on a retail park in the outskirts of my tiny town. I didn't want to be there, and looking back, I can say I wasn't just lazy, I was fully not developmentally ready to be in a customer service job, or probably any job at all. It's still a struggle, but that's a different story. I felt dazzled and confused the whole time and had only got the job in the first place from having told my interviewer I did not care about the upcoming World Cup. I guess this locates this story in 1998. I was stumbling around my department, the one where customers cut lengths of fabric for themselves, totally directionless and badly trained and poorly directed, clueless as what I should be doing. Managing to just about work out what my task was, or managing to hit upon some task I could plausibly do, I find my nearest colleague in yellow and ask her where to get the items I need. Do you know where to find the rolls of more slow fabric? No. Sorry, of what? The more slow. What? The more slow? The more slow, the new pattern fabric, I have to shelf stack them. Penny finally dropping in the mind of this poor IKEA customer who had the bad luck or sense to turn up dressed in a yellow polo shirt, thus totally baffling my 16-year-old self. I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't work here. Cue profuse apologies and massive, overwhelming embarrassment. What a total disaster that job was. I fucked up on this kind of scale on nearly every shift and was fired the second my trial period ended. I couldn't go to IKEA for years afterwards, even in the most acute need for cheap self-assembly furniture. Props to https://goprogram.ai/scratch/IKEA for the IKEA product name. Story 6. I wanted to eat in a restaurant. The place was really nice, but I was wearing a thin jacket and the guy working there thought I was a delivery boy. Not exactly I don't work here, but more I don't work there. Other than that, I had a pleasant experience at the restaurant. Story 7. I was in Home Depot in the electrical department. I was wearing a Hy-Vee arc flash shirt. I'm picking up some stuff for a side job and I hear someone ask me if I could help them. When I turn around, one of the two people was wearing an orange apron and I dealt with him myself a few times. He knew that I was an electrician and what the customer was asking about was out of his league. I spent about 20 minutes explaining everything to the customer. He realized that what he thought would be an easy job was not a DIY. He offered me the job and I turned it down because I'm too old for a job that size. Story 8. I didn't even remotely look like an employee. When I was working my first ever job, I used to put on my uniform at home, since it only took me like 3 minutes by bike to get to work. Sometimes I went shopping after work in my uniform too, since there was a mall between my workplace and my house. People in the grocery store as well as the shoe store in the mall did mistake me for an employee and were confused and mad if I didn't help them. The thing is, I was working as a firefighter. Obviously I only wore my actual emergency uniform in case of an emergency, but we had a uniform for everyday work around the station. Long dark blue pants with pockets and a yellow and silver reflective stripe around the bottoms of the pant legs, as well as a blue sweatshirt with fire department name of the city printed in huge letters on the back. Other than these very obvious signs where I was actually employed, none of the uniforms of the workers in the stores looked remotely similar to my uniform. I'm generally a pretty polite person, more so if I'm wearing my uniform. But when I was trying on shoes after a shift and a lady asked me for something, I just started laughing. I couldn't help it. She complained to the cashier and the cashier started laughing as well. Good times. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.